Welcome back to the RPNcast, hosted by me, Tyreese Smith. Life has gotten busy. I've stepped away for a bit, but am active again as the District 3 playoffs start next week. But before we get into the postseason, the Mid-Penn tournament has come about. 4 teams on the boys and girls basketball side, division winners at that, will battle it out for the Mid-Penn Conference crown while also getting in great runs before their respective playoff brackets. Now, the Mid-Penn this year, in my opinion, wasn't the strongest, let's be honest, but all 4 winners in each respective division have impressed me in one way or another. Today, I will break down the Mid-Penn Conference tournament brackets on both boys and the girls basketball side, while also looking back at my original predictions to the division winners and some extra added analysis along the way. But let's just dive into it. I've had people for about a week keep asking me, oh, what's the Mid-Penn tournament looking like? What do you think? What are your thoughts on it? Which teams are nice? Blah, blah, blah. I knew the format of the Mid-Penn tournament about a month ago. Not much so connecting with the chair of the Mid-Penn Conference, but doing the math correctly and seeing which division winners play which, it all resets after a couple of years. But within the 2025 tournament, you will have the Capital winner facing off against the Colonial winner, and on the other side, the Keystone winner versus the Commonwealth winner. 4 games each. 4 games in total, but 2 at each location. The first location at CD High, the Capital versus the Colonial on the girls' side. Well, on both sides, actually. Trinity versus Middletown. On the other half of the bracket, at CD East, you have Mechanicsburg versus Altoona on the girls' side. And then on the boys' side, something that's been talked about all season. They've been ducking each other, in my opinion. But we finally get to see another round of CV versus Mechanicsburg, as they're about 10 minutes apart, but we finally get to see it happen this season. Looking at my original predictions, I believe that I was really accurate. 7 for 8, around 88%, round up from 875, bump it up, if you were good at math in school. But about 88% accuracy, not bad. Looking at the girls' side, my original predictions for each division, I had Trinity taking the Capital. Everybody is back and healthy. Ashley Burkheimer is used to the system now. But I knew Trinity was going to have not a reload, but more in a way of finally playing together and understanding each other, especially the underclassmen. But they put it together this season and won out the Capital. The Colonial, I had Middletown. I know Northern has won last year, Greencastle the year before, and Northern has had a strong 2 years, but knowing Middletown, they didn't ask to be, but they got took from the Capital, placed into the Colonial. Having a girl like Jayla Koster on your team and Emma Cleland, I knew they were going to give Northern a run for their money, especially Northern losing 4 starters from last year, who has been responsible for their program success, the highest it's been from what I know. But they split during the regular season, co-champions, but Middletown jumped ahead. They are ahead in the District 3 5A power rankings. And also, Northern's loss to Mechanicsburg this year helped the Blue Raiders in a way. And now they will face Trinity, someone that they know very well from being in the Capital, as Middletown went out the Colonial Division. The Commonwealth side, I had my bread on Altoona the whole season. They brought mainly a lot of the starters back, except for Jaden Cruel last year. But again, Chris Flegel has them ready. They run a real good system, and now they're playing really unified this year compared to like the last couple of years. But even adding on to Brianna Hudson's impact as a freshman, seeing a couple games out of her this year, not trying to compare it to Olivia Jones's freshman season, but Brianna is a really athletic person, and if we're talking about a ball player, I'm like, she reminds me a lot of O Rose in a way, but like a more athletic O Rose. A little bit of a better shooter as a freshman, but Brianna Hudson has been, I think she's been like the real corner piece of this team. I know it's Melina Ayer's senior season. Laney's a senior as well, and Zaylin's recruitment has picked up over the past few years, especially on the AAU scene. But Brianna Hudson's impact needs to be talked about a lot more, and has been one of the main reasons why Altoona has went through the Commonwealth, and they're putting together a really well done season. Also to CD, they're not as strong this year. They haven't really had a great second half of the season against good teams, but Altoona swept them this year, and they outright won the Commonwealth. Moving on to the Keystone, I had Mechanicsburg. Again, same as most of the teams here, they brought a lot of people back, and the Keystone is just not in great shape, so that was just automatically my choice right there at the beginning of the season. But Trinity, Middletown are used to each other. Altoona, Mechanicsburg could get interesting. I'm not going to give my predictions on how the games will go. I will just see for myself when they happen, but I felt really confident about all four of my picks, and it worked out, 4 for 4, 100%, so yeah. Looking back at the boys' predictions versus the final results, in the Capital Division, I had Trinity. In the Colonial, I had East Penn. In the Commonwealth, a bit of a few teams there, but ultimately Cumberland Valley. And the Keystone, I had Mechanicsburg. Looking at the final results, Trinity won out. I was right there. Had the Shamrocks winning outright. I knew they brought people back. Owen Schlager senior year, Reese Brown, Dre Steele took a jump in his game this year too, and Mark Shager has been very good as well. And I'm getting Nick Smith back, and having more size down low has definitely helped them as well. But they pretty much went through the division. It helps when also Middletown moves to the Colonial. And I also had Big Spring additionally challenging them. I know Trinity hung up, I believe, 80-plus points in their first one against them. But even last week, Big Spring beat them by 14. Aiden Sally went crazy. I believe 36 points, several tray balls. But yeah, Unk did his thing last week. But Trinity still went out the Capital as they looked really well in that department there. For the Colonial, my predicament was East Penn. I was very, very wrong. Middletown went out the Colonial, their first season in that division. It would have been either East Penn or Middletown that went out. The Colonial division is not that great. I felt if Big Spring was in that division this year, they could have won out too. But Middletown took advantage of the new division. A lot of a younger team than the past few years in terms of talent and athleticism. But one difference maker for Middletown was Alil Betts. Definitely surprised me. I know I've heard good reviews off his former AAU coach when he was with Team PA last year, Stan Freeburn. But Alil definitely surprised me, and he has a very chill game. I would say. Loves to shoot the three ball. Plays at a good pace. Some things he can still fine tune within his game, but Lil has impressed me and has carried a lot of the offensive load that Mason Blazer did last year when he was at Middletown. He's killing it down in St. Petersburg right now at the JUCO level, but Lil has done a good job for the Blue Raiders and has a good supporting cast around him too, and they went out that division. Then Middletown will be in familiar territory with Trinity coming up in the Final Four round, and that could get interesting within itself. No predicament, but I'll let y'all see it for yourselves. The Commonwealth, I had CV winning out. I was correct. CV, they're not as deep as the last few years, and some possessions defense is a problem. But, Vest has had to rely on a lot of the starters. Off the top of my head, Nolan Bazooka's had a good year. Crescent Austin. The sophomores, Jared Olympio, Aiden Deal. And last, I believe it's JJ Lebo as the fifth starter. But, they've had to rely heavy on their five this year. And, they've had battles with CD the second time around in Chambersburg. And even Carlisle getting them for the first time in about 6-7 years. In their second matchup after CB blew them out the first time, it's the Commonwealth is always a gauntlet of the league, but CB prevailed out. They definitely cleaned up from, I wouldn't say a struggle at the beginning of the season, but dropping early ones to Berks Catholic and Chambersburg. You want to be battle tested no matter the night, and it's not easy, especially at the 6A level. But Vest and crew, they've cleaned up, and they went out the Commonwealth. The Keystone division, it was very entertaining seeing a three-way race between Mech, Hershey, and Milton Hershey. At one point in January, you didn't know who was going to win. It was tight. Hershey was undefeated for a while. Mech cleaned up a lot of sloppiness from the beginning of the season, barely beating bad teams that shouldn't have been in the game with them. Guys looking a bit too relaxed, coming in a bit too confident, especially from last year. Every year is a reset, for real, And even Milton Hershey, if we're going to talk about resets, the Spartans won 3 games last year. And now they're going to playoffs with a top to mid seed. And I believed in MHS from the start. I knew they were going to turn things around. I had faith. Actually, I believe I was the only one from the outside who knew MHS was going to pull off some things this year. And again, them beating McDevitt from the start, beating some other non-conference 5A, 6A teams, and also getting a very important big win over Hershey. Dylan Crawford sealing that one the second time around with a dunk. Hershey went crazy. You can hear a dunk all the way from the Giant Center across town, but no, it was a gauntlet. And, Mechanicsburg prevailed out, only having that one early season loss to Hershey. Milton Hershey taking 2 losses to Mech, 1 loss to Hershey, and Hershey losing to Mech and Milton Hershey once. But Mech went out, and now they will face Cumberland Valley. And that game could get interesting within itself. It's at East. Cumberland Valley plays East during the season. They know that gym a bit better. But I think those teams match up very, very well. Mech has more depth in this one, definitely guided by the senior group. Josh Smith going to Princeton, Shan Shinovsky, West Virginia Wesleyan, Liam Owens, Justin Bardo. It can get pretty interesting, and I'm glad I'll be able to see it. But regardless, the matchups, Trinity and Middletown, Cumberland Valley and Mechanicsburg, to even honor the girls' games. Going 7 for 8 on my predictions, I believe I did a pretty good job. I think I'm getting the hang of this analyst role and being a ball knower is what I would like to call myself. I kind of wonder if there's going to be a change in terms of expansion of the conference, knowing the YA has, I believe, 8 teams in there, and even second, third place teams can play for a league title. I wonder if the Mid-Penn would ever do that with first and second place teams within a division. Probably not, knowing the PIAA works like dinosaurs, but it could be interesting for the future. But for now, let's appreciate these Final Four games coming up, as there will be a lot in store and a preview of the district playoffs. But thank you guys for all the support. I wanted to get something out quick and to let you guys know that I will be back. We'll definitely be around for districts. I'm planning to be at some games when I have the time for it. Maybe within Mid-Penn teams, maybe a little bit out of the league. Who knows? I'll be all over the place per usual. But I appreciate you guys for the continuous support within the RPN, within news work, or life in general, as I'm trying to still figure out life myself as I'm in my young adult phase. But to keep up on all things RPNcast, episodes are available on YouTube and Spotify. To follow the RPN Factory, Instagram at MyRPNLife, Twitter at Reese John, Reese JAWN, and my site, as I'll be back with some projects very, very soon. Thank you guys for everything. Shout out to the teams moving on to the Mid-Penn tournament and playoff eligible. But last but not least, go Birds. Thank you.